Hey, what's up, Earth? It's Spaceman Matt. Well, we're up to the fifth Doctor finally. This is the fifth Doctor episodes available on Tubi, free in America with commercials. For the first time, you can watch most of classic Doctor Who for free on Tubi.com. I'm going to look at the one. So, as I did with the other previous four Doctors, we're going to look at the what episodes I think that are worth your time if you haven't watched them before. If you're new to classic Doctor Who, if you're a fan of the new Who and you haven't watched any classic Doctor Who and you want to know which ones to watch, which ones to skip, this is what my opinions are anyway of which to watch and which to skip. So after Tom Baker left the series in 81, I believe, I think a lot of Americans especially were in Tom Baker withdrawal, and I was one of them. I was very upset that he'd been the only Doctor that I really knew at the time, and I was upset to see him go. So it had a real impact on my life. And then even in when we had the pandemic, I did some Tom Baker cosplay. I'm going to put up a picture of me and the Tom doing in a Tom Baker outfit, Fourth Doctor outfit. I forgot to put it up when I was doing the Fourth Doctor, but I thought I'd do it here to and just to show you we all want heroes that look like us or resemble us a bit. Well, yeah. So let's start with the fifth Doctor's first episode, Castrovalva. So this one is probably worth watching. It took a while. I didn't like it at first. I mean, it is a good part of the episode is Peter Davison kind of being confused from the regeneration. It's not so straightforward this time, and he's kind of out of sorts, and they've put him in something called the Zero Room to help him meditate and get his focus and get ready to be the fifth Doctor, I guess. But they wind up in an elaborate trap set up by the Master, who is, which is kind of a spoiler actually for this episode because he's not revealed as the Master right away. And they cast Peter Davison. I think John Nathan Turner was a new producer at the time. He did and I don't know if he alienated Tom Baker or he felt that Tom Baker wasn't taking the role seriously anymore, or he was like too out of control. So it kind of Tom Baker decided to move on. I guess because they really didn't get along that well with John Nathan Turner, I guess. And John Nathan Turner wanted to cast a younger actor in the role. And he chose Peter Davison, who had been known for playing Tristan on All Creatures Great and Small. And at this point, he was like only in his either 30 or in his early 30s. And so he's the youngest person to take on the role at the time until Matt Smith beat him out in New Who. And Matt Smith was only 26 when he became the 11th Doctor. So Castrovalva again is a trap. It's like a city on a planet, but it's like a Escher painting MC Escher painting where the dimensions are all messed up, and it's all a trap. They find that the Master is using the block transfer computations from Logopolis with the unwilling help of Adric to make this fake city to trap the Doctor, and so they have to figure it out. They have to figure a way out of the trap. It did take a while to grow on me. It is kind of an interesting episode, and probably worth watching, even just to see Peter Davison as the fifth Doctor for the first time. So the next episode is Fort of Doomsday. I think this is a skippable one. You can decide for yourself. Maybe I had a friend that just not a Doctor Who fan, I kind of like this episode. I thought it was kind of silly. It's about an alien who calls himself the Monarch. He's like a frog-like creature. Kind of reminds me of a certain past U.S. president a bit. But anyway, he visits the Earth frequently in a ship that is, and each time he improves the ship's drive. He keeps approaching the speed of light. He keeps getting closer to the speed of light. And at some point, he's going to go past it and go back in time and meet himself because he thinks he's God. And it's kind of like he's called himself the Monarch, so it's kind of like that divine right that kings believe that they rule by divine right. So Monarch thinks he's God himself, so he's going to meet himself when he goes back in time. This is the Big Bang. That's his idea anyway. But in the meantime, he's been visiting Earth and collecting ancient peoples. The ones that I remember is an ancient Chinese civilization and an ancient Greek civilization. There's probably some others, but I don't remember what. Those stand out because the characters there was like standout characters in both for those two civilizations. But they're not the original people. What he's done is he kind of creates androids, and he has the people hypnotized, recite their life stories while they're hypnotized, and it's uploaded into, and their brains kind of reads their brains, and it uploads their consciousness into an android. I think that's something like Elon Musk wants to do. But then he disposes of the original's body. So, but what he's really creating is like an artifact of a person. It's not transferring their consciousness into the android. It's just their memories. And he wants to do that with the TARDIS crew too. So that gets kind of scary. I guess it's a way to control the people too. If they're all androids, I guess it's easier for them to control them if he has actual people on board. Kind of a strange, different story. I didn't think it worked that well. If you want to watch it, you can. I won't tell you any more about what happens. But the Doctor, I was upset the Doctor doesn't challenge the Monarch. He says, "Hey, well, that's a dopey idea. You're basically killing these people and just saving like a memento of them. It's like it's not the actual person." So it was kind of a weird episode. And followed by another episode I didn't really care for is Kinda, which features the Mara, and again, very kind of odd, and I think the Doctor is kind of here too confused and not very, doesn't have very assertive presence in this, so it's kind of like upsetting. He's like kind of like doesn't seem like he's in control the whole time. So, and it's kind of that's one of the things that bothers me about this episode. Maybe it makes it more suspenseful, but I don't know. The Visitation's an interesting one. It explains the fire of 1666 being caused by reptilian aliens that are stranded in England at that time. I think this was an interesting story. The aliens are called the Teriptals. I thought they looked pretty good, considering it's 80s Doctor Who, and I'll put up a picture of them. And they have their own they have their own robot. He's kind of interesting looking too, and it's basically them trying to get off the planet and the Doctor trying to control the collateral damage from the Teriptals, and and not cause too much damage in 1666, but they wind up causing the Great Fire of London. Oops. The Black Orchid is a two-parter that is like the first. I don't know if it's really considered historical. Yes, it's a historical episode, but it's the first one in a long time. It's a little bit of there's a murder mystery. It's set in the 20s, I believe. The only science fiction element is the TARDIS in the story. Other than that, it's just a murder mystery, and To me, it wasn't that interesting. A little diverting, maybe, but not really very good. The next one is Earthshock, which brings back the Cybermen, who haven't been back since Tom Baker's Revenge of the Cyberman, and that was in their early or mid 70s. These have my favorite version of the Cyberman with the David Banks playing the Cyber Leader. I do prefer them to the modern Cybermen. I do like David Banks's voice is quite forceful. I'm going to do the imitation of. See if I can get this to work. The David Banks Cyber Leader and so these Cybermen are much more forceful, even though they don't look as cool as the ones in New Who. They are very, and you tell her they're guys in sauna suits with big gloves and stuff on, and like silver painted work boots. But I like the David Banks Cyberman or a Cyber Leader. He has the powerful voice.
Destroy them at once. Excellent.
Those are two of the Cyber Leader's catchphrases, and I just think it's a lot more fun than the ones from current New Who. I don't know why I went with that delete, that more of electronic sound that was like from the Patrick Troughton era, as opposed to the fun, more forceful David Banks era of Cybermen. So Earthshock's probably one of the best. It's probably, again, in probably my top 20 Doctor Who episodes, definitely. Maybe top 15, maybe top 10. I'll have to do a ranking list one of these days. But it ranks high up there. It's definitely one of the best from the Peter Davison. It's one of my two favorites from the Peter Davison era, definitely. And definitely worth watching, I think. Next one. See, it's weird. They just put the name of this episode is Time Flight. They just put time as the name of the episode. This is a weird one. I don't know if I should spoil it, but so it's spoiler already. There's the Master is the bad guy in this one. He pops up at the end. And he's in disguise for a good part of the episode, but it doesn't really. It's set in the past. He's grabbing these planes from Gatwick Airport, I think, and taking these people back in the past so he can. I guess he's looking to repair his TARDIS, and he's with some strange alien race. And he creates these monsters called plasmatons, which I think a lot of people complain about their look, and it's just very cheap looking, poorly conceived, bad special effects. It's not the greatest. I think it's okay, and it's probably skippable. There's something about like it is kind of confusing at the end with the alien race, and they're trapped in the spaceship, and I don't quite get what happens in the end. But you might want to check it out. It's optional though, I think. Let's go to season 20. So they have Arc of Infinity, which is the return of Omega. I didn't, this is the villain from the Three Doctors that returns in this episode. This isn't the Five Doctors, but he's back for the beginning of this season, which I think is the 20th anniversary season, and he's trying to manifest himself in Amsterdam in 1980s Amsterdam. But the Doctor thwarts his plans. It's a little on the weird side, a little strange. We have Colin Baker playing a Time Lord guard named Maxwell, who eventually, and he was upset that he was cast as I guess he needed the work, but he was sad he was cast as this because he said, I'll never get to play the Doctor, but he did eventually get to play the Doctor after Peter Davison left. So next we have Snake Dance, which was a sequel to Kinda that nobody asked for. And the most interesting thing about this, it features Martin Clunes, who later became Doc Martin on BBC TV. That was a hit series, so you can see a younger Martin Clunes as the unwilling bad guy in this one. It's I think it's skippable unless you're a Doc Martin fan. Then we have the Modern Undead, which I rather like, which features Turlo. And he's a little different in that he's under the influence of the Black Guardian. Black Guardian, he's an alien trapped on Earth. And we find that he's in a prep school for boys. And the headmaster is a retired Brigadier Colonel Lethbridge Stewart, who is head of unit with the Third Doctor and the Fourth Doctor. But now he's a headmaster in a school. He's retired from military service and decided to become a headmaster of a school. And Turlo, who just happens to be an alien, is one of the students there, an alien stranded on Earth. And he forms an alliance with the Black Guardian because he hates the Earth. He wants to get off of it. So the Black Guardian convinces him to become a companion of the Doctor and kill him. And he'll show him the way, and that'll get him off the Earth, and it'll help him out. So it starts that story arc with Turlo as a secret baddie companion. And there's the Brigadier, shaved his mustache to be headmaster of the school. I think this screws up the timeline a little bit for Doctor Who because it's set in 1977, which would be shortly after the show that Pertwee left in like 73, which is right. But then you have Sarah Jane and what's that episode? Pyramids of Mars saying she's from 1980. I always thought the John Pertwee episodes were set slightly in the future, and so I think this kind of screws it. This kind of sets it in their actual broadcast time. So I think this kind of screws up the continuity a little bit. So you don't see any of the other old unit members, but he mentions Sergeant Benton and Mike Gates and what they're doing now. And I think it's interesting that there's again, a race of beings that have some Time Lord technology that allows them to partially regenerate, but it's killing them or something along those lines, and they want the Doctor to help them out, so they kind of trick him. I enjoyed this episode. I thought it was pretty well done. Then it's followed by Terminus, which is not so great. And then we say goodbye to Nyssa in this episode. It's like a leper colony in space, and they find out that it's also there's this alien spaceship which actually created like the Big Bang. It's a kind of a it's not the greatest episode. The costumes are awful too. I'll put up a costume. I have like these odd metal, like medieval inspired costumes, which I think are awful. So we say goodbye to Nyssa in this one. And then Turlo and then Enlightenment. This is my second favorite. This is kind of tied with Earthshock. Probably is my favorite Peter Davison episode. This receives the return of the Black and White Guardian and introduces a race of beings called the Eternals, who are passing away eternity by doing strange things like sailing spaceships that look like 19th century sailing ships in our solar system for a contest, and this is the prize is enlightenment, and I think so. This brings the Turlo story arc to an end. I think the Eternals are a lot of fun. There's Captain Rack, who's like the bad guy, and there's another Eternal that falls in love with Tegan because he loves her thoughts, and he wants to stay with Tegan, or wants Tegan to stay with him, and of course she doesn't want to be bothered. This is the King's Demons, which is set in 1215 England, and there's the Master's involved in an impersonation of King John, and he has a robot called Chameleon, which is impersonating King John, and he winds up the robot winds up becoming a companion of the Doctor at the end, but they never use him because he's too difficult. The prop that they got, it was a prop that they'd gotten from a movie that had been canceled, and it was a very difficult like animatronic type of puppet to work with. So I'll put, he's not pictured here, so I'll put a picture of him up there. But it didn't work out with that, so he's only in this episode, and then in Planet of Fire, I think, where he comes to an end. And then we have the anniversary episode, Five Doctors. This is actually probably the first Peter Davison episode that I saw, and this is one of the only episodes of Classic Who, anyway, that was broadcast in America before it was broadcast in the UK. This was actually, I saw it on the actual 20th anniversary date, November 23rd. I think they did it like a day or two later in Britain. I forget what the story was there, but we got to watch it before they did it in the UK. It is again only three. Tom Baker doesn't return, and William Hartnell has passed away and is played by another actor, Richard Herndl. I don't know if you see him. You don't see him here. And it's a story where again it involves Rassilon and Gallifrey. So some force is scooping the past Doctors in bringing him back to Gallifrey, and it's jeopardizing the Fifth Doctor's existence. So he has to go to Gallifrey too to figure out what's going on. And they're all in the dead zone, and it was a clever way to get back old aliens and companions, and there's lots of different cameos from past companions, and it's if you're a fan of the classics, it's a lot of fun. For other people, it may not be. If you haven't watched classic Doctor Who, it's probably not the best first episode to start with, but it's still a lot of fun. And the Masters also, they recruit the Master to help rescue the Doctor out of the dead zone. Of course, he has his own agenda, which doesn't line up with the Time Lords. And in the end, they meet Rassilon and find out why he's immortal. So that's the end of season 20. We go to Peter Davison's last season. He only had 3. Now we have the Notorious Warriors of the Deep, which brought back the Silurians and the Sea Devils from the John Pertwee episodes back in the 70s. Here they team up, and they're dealing with a future underwater base. So this features an older Ingrid Pitt. I think it was big in the 70s there and 60s, and Hammer horror films, or horror films in the UK anyway. So she's featured in this episode. It's overall it's a pretty bad episode, and I'll show you a picture of the Merker, which was a notoriously like a pantomime horse type of sea monster. And it was just notoriously bad, and gets maligned quite a bit, and it really didn't live up to the promise. Oh, again, the Sea Devils and the Silurians back together again. It sounded really exciting, but they really didn't do much with the episode. So this is a skippable episode unless you want to laugh at the pantomime sea monster there. Not very good. The Awakening, again, was another skippable one. It involves some type of strange alien manifestation and some time travel, and it wasn't very, I don't think it was very good. Again, also Frontios is another skippable one with the Tractators, which were these awful snail-looking aliens, and they managed to blow up the TARDIS, but in the end they put it together using their gravity powers. It was just a strange yet boring episode. Then they have Resurrection of the Daleks, which is not very good. I think this is Rula Lenska here, if I'm not mistaken. Another famous actress from the 60s and 70s shows up here. And this is a scary scene where this guy's face melts off in Resurrection of Dallas. This involves time travel to present-day Earth, human duplicates, one called Lupton, I think, something Lieutenant Lupton, who winds up turning up later in the Colin Baker Cyberman episode. And it's not him there, it's another actor. And we say goodbye to Tegan at the end of this episode. It's a little dark, this episode, and I don't particularly care for it. But Tegan's gone. It's just the Doctor and Turlough, and we're gonna say goodbye to Turlough in this episode. But they pick up Perry, who's played by Nicola Bryant, who is supposed to be American, but she really is a British actress, just trying to do an American accent, I guess. And then John Nathan Turner wanted to make it like she was part American, but she really was. She was all British. And very nice. We met her. She's very pretty here, and I met her in person at the convention. She's also a very nice person. As was Peter Davison. Peter Davison too is a nice guy. It's just not as much more reserved than I thought he would be. I thought he'd be as kind of laid back as the Fifth Doctor. I thought he'd be a little more laid back, but he's quite reserved, but still a very nice fellow. Planet of the Fire, we say goodbye to Turlough. They bring back Chameleon for this one, and we also, it's another plot involving the Master. This was okay. It's watchable. It's not not the best. Then we have Caves of Androzani, which is one of Robert Holmes, who was a big part of Doctor Who in the 60s and 70s. This is one of his last scripts that he contributes to the story and to Doctor Who. One of the last scripts that he contributes to Doctor Who, and it's an okay episode. Has Sheriff Jack, who's like a gun runner. This also involves androids and android duplicates, and this guy's an android duplicate, I think. And this isn't Sheriff Jack, but another bad guy, Morgus, who's like a corporate baddie. So this is a pretty good episode, and this is was getting used to Peter Davison as the Fifth Doctor. Boom, he regenerates at the end of the episode, so that's the end of his run as the Fifth Doctor. He's not one of my favorites, but he's some of his episodes, again, most actors, when the writing and the story is well produced and the writing is good and the story they're good, their performance is good. When it's not, I think they kind of struggle with the bad scripts and bad stories too. So it's a collective effort making TV shows, and I think it's really hard for an actor to carry bad scripts. And I think the writing was, when John Nathan Turner took over, he alienated a lot of the past people involved in Doctor Who, and he probably didn't get enough really good. There might not be really enough good people around to work on Doctor Who that enjoy working on Doctor Who. So I think this suffered a little bit, and they had to get people back like Robert Holmes to write this Caves of Androzani episode, which was a good episode, not one of Robert Holmes' better episodes, but still pretty decent. And then we go on to the unfortunate Sixth Doctor's run, which was shorter than he wanted it to be, and anybody wanted it to be, I guess. But we'll cover that next time. Thanks for watching. It would help me out. I'm up to 49 subscribers. It would be great to get to 50. Please subscribe to the channel. Please like this video, and I'll be able to make more hopefully soon. Thanks for watching. I appreciate it.
Subscribe to Spaceman Matt's Sci-Fi vlog today. The fate of the world depends on it, I guess.